Hello, and welcome to Agents of Impact, a podcast from Impact Alpha. This is the latest in our series of conversations with agents of impact across the landscape of impact investing, sustainable finance, venture capital, private equity, and of course, founders and entrepreneurs. I'm David Bank, editor and CEO of Impact Alpha, and I'm joined by my co-host, Sherelle Dorsey, a contributing editor to Impact Alpha. Hi, Sherelle.
Hey, David. I'm really looking forward to your conversation with Loren Taylor. It just sounds so fascinating.
Well, Loren has got an interesting story. He was actually the top vote getter in the last election for the mayor of Oakland. He had been a city councilman. But there's what they call ranked choice voting there. And when all the second choice votes were counted, he barely missed out by some hundreds of votes. But he picked himself up and he's running Zaru, which is a fascinating kind of social enterprise, but really, I think, a full-scale, scalable venture fundable at some point around creating kind of franchised businesses in a box, farms that are in shipping containers, fully automated and very teched up, super productive. And then they help folks get into that business, and then they also help on the offtake on the other side with buying the produce they produce.
That's absolutely incredible. I know this is going to be so fascinating.
They've got what they call a big, hairy, audacious goal, $1 billion in black wealth, which means 1,000 entrepreneurs with businesses worth $1 million each.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to diving into the conversation for sure.
Before we do, let's remind our listeners they can see all of the shows in the Impact Alpha podcasting network at impactalpha.com. And while they're there, make sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter, Impact Alpha Open, or go all in and subscribe to Impact Alpha to get our daily brief in your inbox each morning and many other cool features. And make sure to subscribe to Impact Alpha on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Let's jump in. Loren Taylor, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Loren, I've been looking forward to this conversation. You and I have been talking for a while, and I wanted to share the story of Zaru Systems with our listeners. But it really is the Loren Taylor story. And I'm very taken by your kind of eclectic background for an entrepreneur, because you were not only a city council member in the city of Oakland, you were very close to being mayor of the city of Oakland.
677 votes, but who's counting, right?
And it's not even just that you actually came in first, right?
Before ranked choice voting factored in. Yeah, I had the most votes in the first round.
So there was a moment when you were measuring the drapes, as they say, at City Hall?
We didn't go that far. We definitely wanted to make sure that everything was fully counted. But yes, things were looking good at first, and then, unfortunately, turned a different direction.
Well, I don't know how long you took to get yourself out of bed, but you did find something new to do, and that's Zaru. So just tell us the journey from election night to joining up with Zaru.
Yeah, so one thing that folks may be interested in knowing, my background is not that of a typical politician either. I am a biomedical engineer turned management consultant focused on innovation, an entrepreneur before running for office and being elected. And so as I was licking my wounds, if you would, post-election, was presented with the challenge of how do I maintain the impact that I've been having? How do I build and continue the momentum around technology innovation, business model innovation, social impact, and change, and exploring a number of different pathways, landed on and actually met a team that was building out Zaru, and a social entrepreneurship endeavor that was focused on bridging the racial wealth gap, unapologetically doing so.
That's what caught my eye originally. I think the what they call a BHAG, folks will know what that is, was building $1 billion in black wealth within 8 years.
Absolutely,
so very, very practical.
Yes, and if we're going to really create the change that we need within society, within our country, we've got to have some BHAGs and be intentional from the beginning. So often when we talk about those who are trying to address the economic imbalances that exist, the disparities, it's an afterthought of, oh, I'm building a business, I'm creating value. Oh, and maybe I can carve out a little bit here to address this social challenge, this issue. Whereas Zaru intentionally from the beginning is, how can we design a platform, a business model that uses capital markets, uses the principles of capitalism for addressing the ills that capitalism created, the wealth gap that we see in this country that only continues to widen.
All right, so now let's get down to it, because people don't yet know what Zaru Systems actually is, and I was also taken by the both simplicity of it, but also a little bit the complexity of it. So just describe these containers that are modular farms growing healthy produce in neighborhoods and communities across the country. How does that all work?
So before we get there, let me describe Zaru as a platform where we are creating turnkey businesses and then training Black entrepreneurs to be owner-operators of those businesses. And those businesses are designed with particular characteristics. One is it has to generate at least $1 million in annual revenue in order to sustain the entrepreneur, the FTEs, a few FTEs, and build equity and create wealth. What you were describing in terms of the shipping container farms and creating a network of container farms leveraging the latest in ag technology is the first business application that we are focused on templating in somewhat of a franchise model. So Zaru is creating these businesses, providing the supports around them, from lining up financing to establishing the playbook on running the business, to lining up the customer contracts for at least the first year, and providing the back end services, financial support, legal, etc. Those key points address the typical pitfalls, access barriers for minority, Black-owned businesses and entrepreneurs. And so by providing the supports, what we call the business infrastructure as a service, we're able to de-risk and ensure the success of these businesses, collecting a royalty in the process. And that's how Zaru makes money. While these entrepreneurs make money, grow, and we create multiple businesses, Zaru as a platform also makes a recurring revenue that sustains our business and allows us to move to the next template that we launch.
So there may be future businesses beyond these sort of farms in a container box, in a container shipping container.
Absolutely, there absolutely will, and that is the model.
So describe these container farms. They're quite high tech, and they're quite productive. No?
Absolutely. So in one shipping container, you can produce the equivalent of 2 acres of farmland. And so we are optimizing every cubic inch of space within these containers for growing. We are controlling the lighting, temperature, humidity, nutrient delivery to the plants so that it increases quality, yield, and it allows you to control all aspects of producing the best product to market. And so that's why there's been so much excitement about vertical farming, controlled environment ag, and its potential to revolutionize agriculture. And, as we are facing the food scarcity and other challenges that exist across the globe.
Now, all those arguments have made sense to me, and have made sense to me for a while, but there has been kind of a bursting of the bubble on vertical farms and indoor farming, and a lot of the companies that raised a bunch of money a few years ago have run into trouble. So how are you going to escape that downdraft?
Yeah, so that is typical of revolutionary technology and solutions when they come in, is that you have this Gartner hype cycle that you ride, and a lot of people jump in with emotional exuberance without the fundamentals of operating a business effectively and successfully. And so, a few years ago, there was a separating of the wheat from the chaff. And right now we are at a point where, we're really focused on the fundamentals. What does it take to run a business effectively? And this is the opportune time as we're starting to rebound with this industry and have much more sustainable models, to make sure that we're democratizing wealth creation and access for those who are typically not sitting at the table. Black,
So
brown,
you escape the peak of inflated expectations, and if you start in the I think it's called the trough of despair, then you can climb the slope of enlightenment
exactly. So we're riding enlightenment and bringing our community, the Black community, along with us in terms of the opportunities we're creating through the business model.
Okay, so then let's just get down to what it means for an actual operator. So you again are not producing these containers. There are manufacturers and producers of these already. You found some suppliers, I guess.
Correct. Yeah. This is mature technology. We have two partner manufacturers who make these container farms as turnkey solutions. All we need to do is bring them into the site, provide electricity and water, and a entrepreneur can be up and running within a few weeks.
And you're not actually even owning them, right? You're helping the entrepreneur buy them.
Correct. So we are facilitating access to capital, the financing for the startup, the capital, as well as working capital that's necessary to run the business. And so we have a number of financing partners, consultants, and we are leveraging federal monies in terms of the USDA and SBA lending programs in order to help these entrepreneurs get up and running in an effective way.
And then you give them the various kind of entrepreneurial support, as you say, and also help them with and also the sort of technical know-how to run it, but then also the offtake, the purchasing of the produce, right?
Absolutely, and that's a huge part. That's one of the reasons why earlier models have struggled and failed, is because they haven't had the connection, the plug-in, and the ability to deliver into the customer market. And so we're fortunate to have a wholesale distributor, someone who's run a wholesale produce distribution business for 40 years on our advisory board. We have been in several conversations at the federal, regional, and local levels as far as customers, and are excited about the enthusiasm that we're getting there as well.
Well, local has always been has become a big selling point for food, and even in restaurants, but also in markets, and social justice or black wealth building is also presumably something that folks will feel favorable towards when they buy their, mushrooms and leafy
mushrooms,
greens,
berries, microgreens, fresh herbs. Absolutely. And what you're getting at is the branding, right? The Zaru brand stands for local production. It stands for the social mission. It stands for high quality. All of these are things that the entrepreneur, as being part of this distributed network, is able to tap into and really be able to leverage the scale of a national footprint, even though they are local and focused on the local market and building those relationships as well.
Great. Let me just play, sort of the skeptical venture investor question. What could go wrong? What are the risks?
Look, there are risks with any business, right? Whenever you bring in new, I would say the variables with respect to different entrepreneurs that may not have been proven or tested. One of the things that we believe strongly is that there's amazing talent out there within the Black community that is not able to really demonstrate and lean in because of the typical barriers to access, not having the relationships, not having the capital access, not having sort of connections to the customers, and potentially even the technical knowledge around this emerging technology and how to apply it. These are things that Zaru set up to reduce those risks, de-risk the investments for supporting these entrepreneurs in being as successful as possible with their business.
And Loren, I know you're out raising money to stand up the commercialization of Zaru, but when will we see the first containers out there in neighborhoods, and when will we see the first Zaru produce on the market?
Yep. So we are raising funds to get our MVP out there, our demonstration farms, where we're able to prove out the P&L side of this model. Those will be in Colorado and South Carolina, adjacent to the properties of our container manufacturer partners. That's where we will demonstrate the scale of production, will demonstrate traction in the market, and that will then lead to our first commercial deployment, which we're targeting for the Bay Area, the first Zaru farm with a entrepreneur that we are supporting in owning their own business.
And just to bring it back around, how are you feeling now about the where fate has led you in your own career?
Hey, when I'm a person of faith, and I truly believe that when God allows one door to close, He opens up another door and a better door, and that's the path that we're on now. Is really building the momentum necessary to create incredible change and transformation within Oakland as well as across the country. And this model that Zaru is creating has incredible potential well beyond this first business application, container farms, to others that we can template and launch in order to improve the trajectory of under-resourced communities across the country.
I love that. When one door closes, a door to a self-contained container farm opens. So.
Absolutely. And all of the microgreens you can imagine.
All right. Well, thanks, Loren Taylor of Zaru Systems. Good luck and all the best to you.
Thanks so much. It's great being on the show. And keep highlighting incredible change makers. I think there's so much that we can learn from each other.
Agents of impact. Thank you, Loren.
David, thanks for bringing this conversation to us. I think Zaru is a phenomenal and just fascinating model, especially from that kind of franchise business in a box perspective. It's really cool.
Yeah, they've got a lot to prove out, but they do have some big potential. The whole kind of vertical farm world kind of had a shakeout, and they think of that as an advantage. They can get in when expectations are low, and then ride it up. So I'm going to be watching them.
I love it.
I want to remind our listeners that they can see all the shows in the Impact Alpha podcasting network at impactalpha.com. And while you're there, make sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter, Impact Alpha Open.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Great, Sherelle. Till next time.
Till next time.